Yeah, hello everybody, and thanks a lot for the introduction. You can keep your eyes open for this talk, and I will take you on a little bit different journey. So my name is Mayo, and I'm a designer. I love giving back to community. I love talking to designers, and that's why I love mentoring. And I get asked lots of different questions, but there are a few which are common and which are repeating in some way. So that's what I would like to share with you today. And obviously, I was too ambitious, and there are lots of questions, and the answers might be long because getting answers to these questions might take several sessions, and it's not something you can fit into a 10-minute talk. So let's get to it, and fingers crossed. So the first question is, which path should I choose in my design career? So there are designers who know what they want to do and what they want to achieve, but sometimes when you're a junior designer, you might be super overwhelmed by all of the different options that you might have. So what you can do is to try to think about like many different ways how you can think about your career. Like, are you 0 to 1 kind of designer? Meaning, are you visionary? Are you someone who likes to explore things and is not afraid to take risks? So maybe becoming a designer in a small startup might be something for you. Or maybe you are somebody who likes to scale things and go from 1.0 to 1.1 kind of version, and somebody who is able to dive deep and wants to dive deep in things. Or maybe you want to become a manager, and maybe the craft itself is not for you, and you want to guide teams to deliver better designs. Or maybe you are a specialist, you want to become a UI designer, UX designer, brand designer, whatever. There is like so many options. Or maybe you are a generalist, like a product designer, and you will cover many different things. And then you can choose or think about the environment where you want to work at. So do you want to be remote or in-house? Do you want to work in an agency or a bigger team? Do you want to try to work for a startup or be a freelance designer? There are like so many different things to choose from, and it can be overwhelming. But I think the most important thing is to try to explore. Like in the beginning of your career, you should try to find what works for you the best and try different options and see what works for you best. And I think we are in like a special time where you can actually design your own career, so which is awesome. Next question is, how can I become a better product designer? So great, from the first question you choose which way you want to go, and you have chosen to become a product designer. And this is something which is very close to my heart because I'm a product designer and I went that route. And it's not an easy journey because you do not only have to make sure that the product looks good, that it works well, but also that it's feasible and that it like delivers some business goal which you're trying to achieve. So that's why I've tried to create this little framework how to evaluate yourself on these 8 different competencies, from visual design, collaboration, business strategy or technology. And there are 3 different levels of competencies, from a junior designer to a senior one. So based on this, we can talk about like what are your goals for your career. And for example, this is how it can look like for a senior designer who has a visual background and in design. So this is something where you can think of your career and think of mentoring, like, okay, I would like to get better in collaboration and communication, set up a goal, and we can work on that. Next question is, wow, it's jumping. How can I learn to ask better questions? And good job on asking a good question, because this is a deep question, and it tells me that you are curious about things. And there are many different ways how you can go about asking good questions. An obvious answer might be like, hey, ask 5 times why. And that would be a great way how to figure out something deep and meaningful. But you can decide, you can show this in 2 different ways. One is high level. So when you start working on something, what kind of problem are you trying to work on? Why are you trying to solve something? Who is the target audience? And all of these questions should be something which, for example, a product manager can help you with, or this is something which should be goal of your project and the whole team should be aligned on it. So this is something which you should have in front of you every time you start designing things every day. And then you can go into detail, like when you are maybe UI designer or UX designer and you are working on a specific product. and you're trying to deliver it and send it to development, you need to make sure that it's accessible, that you have all your states covered, and so on. So this is something where design checklist might help you. And you can write down these questions. You can try to find many of these, and you will get there with practice. But I think a very important thing here is to show your work to other people. I think this is the best way how to get feedback on what you are working on, and the questions which you will get back from other designers or other teammates will be something that you can just write down and get back to in the future, and you will get better in asking great questions. Another thing, there are lots of designers who come from different backgrounds, but visual design is something which lots of people want to improve upon, or their skills. So how can you actually do that? So there are many different things. So I picked 3 for today. You can basically steal, or more importantly, practice, and that is take a look at UIs or websites or applications which you really like and admire, and try to copy them. Try to break it down and try to see what works. Play and have fun. Like try to take a look at the product which you are working on and try to use different typography, try to use different colors, try to break it as well, and try to see how it influences the mood and general tone of what you are actually working on. And a very important one, learn from others, learn from other designers, learn from other teammates, and maybe from people like Adam, who was a developer and he wanted to learn UI design, so he wrote a book called Refactoring UI. And I would recommend this to anybody, even senior designers. I think it's great stuff. But most importantly, have fun and try to practice, because that's something how you will get better in visual design. Next question is how to improve a relationship with a colleague. This is something which for me is the most interesting question, or the most complex one in any mentoring. And I think that's like the most common topic to be solved in any mentoring, because design is not a silo, or it's a team sport. So it's something where you need to collaborate with other people, and relationships are always difficult in some way. And communication might be like an easy answer to go here, but you never know like what might be happening. You need to first find an understanding of what are the things that you actually want from the situation. Maybe you have a super critical colleague, or maybe you have a leader who is not giving you enough guidance, or doesn't know how to prioritize things, and you feel lost in some way. So you need to understand like what do you want from a situation, but also from where the other person is coming from. And I think the important thing to understand here is that you are both on the same page, or same goal in the company. So you should try to strive to figure out how you can deliver the best goals together, and try to find ways how to collaborate. And of course, how to ask for a raise, or the question of money. Like every time we need to pay bills, or we need to make sure we make a living. So this is something which comes up very often. And there are many different things which you can do. And the general rule of thumb is you should get about like 5 to 10% raise like every year, based on where the market is moving, based on inflation and the domain which you're learning if you are in the same company. You should compare, but not try to feel bad about comparing with other people. You should try to do your research. And what also helps is trying to interview for other positions if you are offered them. Like on one side, you will get better at interviewing, or answering interviewing questions, but also you will find out what your value is on the market, which is awesome. And last thing is to prepare. You should have your goals. You should have your responsibilities in the company. And if you know what they are, and if you work with your manager on setting them up, and what actually happens when you achieve some of these goals or responsibilities, like what happens after it. And this is something which you can review quarterly or yearly, or whatever cadence you create. And if you do have more responsibility, or you take on more responsibility, like organizing an event or leading some specific projects, then don't be afraid to speak up about this. And usually junior designers don't give themselves enough credit for how good they are. So this is something where they need a little bit of help. Another thing is how you can learn if you are the only designer in the team. And this is something where I've been as well. And in product board, I was the only designer for 2.5 years. And I think I have learned more from other people than designers in my whole career in general. So work with people who inspire you. So do you have a CEO who is an amazing businessman and does have a great understanding of people? Or maybe you have a CTO who is great at technology and has like great ideas and questions. And speaking of CTOs, sit next to developers. People who understand technology usually do have lots of great ideas. They are very focused on making things seamless or very effective. So they might be a great help for you to learn how to be a better designer. Obviously, talk to users. That's something which does not even have to be mentioned. And you can try to organize design critique sessions with other designers. You can join some events like this one, or you can try to meet up with other designers and discuss what works for them, or if you need some feedback, or you can try to find a mentor, and that's something which helps as well if you feel like you need to share stuff. What should I do in a situation A or B? I think this is a very interesting one, and I think it's kind of a meta question. And should I take a job A or B? Should I take a full-time position or go freelance? There are all of these different questions which mentee might have, where he kind of asks you and uh, wants you to make the decision. And I think it might be very tempting to answer this, but the role of a mentor or a teacher or a parent is to make sure that the mentee or a student or your child grows into an independent being. So the mentor will never make a decision for you, but my job is to help you guide through anything you are going through, help you with sharing my experiences, or help you find the pros and cons of all of these different options, and you will make the choice for yourself. And I've been angry at my mentors for not answering me question directly when I asked them, but I think I thanked them later when they done, and I had to go through it myself. So maybe you will do the same thing. And last thing is, sometimes the mentees do not have any questions after talking for an hour or something, because they have lots of different things they want to process. But this is okay. This is something which might happen. And I think it comes back to the goal. What is your goal which you set up for the mentoring? Maybe let's go and try an exercise how you can improve your visual design skills. Or maybe we can try to create a scenario where you improve your research skills or something else. So this is an important question to ask for yourself. What is your goal, or what is the mountain you want to climb? What is your dream that you have? And maybe mentoring is something that can help you with that. So these are just few of the questions. So thanks a lot for listening. And I'll be very excited to hear what are your questions that you get asked and you would like to ask your mentor, or questions that or answers to these questions. Maybe you have better answers as well. So let's talk. Thanks a lot.